The IDF drone bombed the world's central kitchen aid convoy 3 times. And the Israeli military is admitting that they knew this was an aid convoy and yet destroyed it anyway. Quote, the war room of the unit responsible for security of the route that the convoy traveled identified an armed man on the truck and suspected that he was a terrorist. At some point when the convoy was driving along the approved route, the war room of the unit responsible for security of the route ordered the drone operators to attack one of the cars with a missile. Some of the passengers were seen leaving the car after it was hit and switching to one of the other 2 cars. They continued to drive and even notified the people responsible that they were attacked, but seconds later, another missile hit their car. The 3rd car in the convoy approached, and the passengers began to transfer to it the wounded who had survived the 2nd strike in order to get them out of danger. But then a 3rd missile struck them. All 7 World Central Kitchen volunteers were killed in the strike. Think how systematic and deliberate that was.
Is the Israeli government apologizing to the families of the aid workers killed, including the 3 families in Britain?
Well, firstly, thank you, Krishnan, for having me on. From the Prime Minister to the Defense Minister to the spokesman for the Israel Defense Forces, all of us have expressed grief about this occurrence.
Yes, but are you apologizing?
To be frank, if you let me answer, Krishnan, there's no point attacking me already. I've just arrived, for heaven's sake.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just asking you a simple question. I want an answer to it.
No, you are.
Are you apologizing?
And allow me to answer. Allow me to answer. We have expressed grief about this operation, but we need to find out exactly what has happened. The Prime Minister, as he came out of hospital today, the Defense Minister and Minister Gallant have all expressed grief. Indeed, there is a sense of grief across the whole country because WKD are one of the good guys.
WKD are one of the good guys. Right, so first things first, the people who were killed by Israel were from the organization World Central Kitchen, or WCK. The other thing to notice is the arrogance of Mensa, who thinks being asked to apologize for killing 7 innocent aid workers is a personal attack. Stop attacking me. I've already said we feel very sad about it. Why should we say sorry? Oh, because saying sorry would mean you accept responsibility, which you are refusing to do, even though everyone in the entire world can see that you intentionally bombed these people. Finally, by calling WCK, yes, WCK, not WKD, by calling them one of the good guys, Mensa is not being very subtle in suggesting that the other 196 aid workers so far killed in Gaza are fair game. Oh no, these were actually one of the good guys. Yeah, the other aid workers, yeah, we didn't mind killing them. Maybe we even did it on purpose. But these ones, oh, we definitely did do that by accident because these are one of the few aid workers in Gaza who we think deserve to live. Right? Now, the people who Israel doesn't seem to think deserve to live are people from disreputable organizations like the United Nations. Right? Now, you can see why Israel hired this guy. He's very similar to Eylon Levy, the guy who he has replaced. Let's go back to the interview.
You said this was unintentional. So this was a mistake, wasn't it? So you can apologize already. You don't need to know the precise details to issue an apology. Clearly, there are grieving families tonight.
There are grieving families, and we grieve with them because clearly something catastrophic has happened.
You killed them, right? Well done, Krishnan Guru Murphy, for getting to the nub of the point. This isn't about, oh, we're grieving for these people because a tragedy has occurred. You killed them, right? You bombed 3 cars with clear markings that said they were delivering food. Now, whoever was controlling those drones didn't seem to mind. They were still fair game. 7 people are now dead. You can't just say, oh, we're grieving. You did it. Let's go back to that interview.
We're going to get to the bottom of this and find out exactly what happened because the role of bringing aid to innocent Gazans, to ordinary Gazans, not to Hamas, to the genocidal terror organization Hamas, that role is sacrosanct to us. We've got no beef with the people of Gaza, ordinary people. We're trying to get as much aid as we possibly can.
I mean, it's not sacrosanct.
The dilemma,
saying things like you're trying to get as much aid as possible is just not true because only a few days ago, the UN's highest court, the ICJ, ordered Israel to, without delay, facilitate humanitarian aid. And tonight, a ship laden with tons of aid is sailing away, and humanitarian organizations are saying it is simply too dangerous for them to carry on supplying aid because you kill their aid workers. So it is just not true to say it's sacrosanct.
It absolutely is sacrosanct because before this war, which we didn't want or didn't ask for. There were about 70 aid trucks of food alone going into Gaza. Just today, there were 243 on an
those
average.
numbers are disputed.
No, they're not disputed. They're facts, Christian. And we can.
No, they're not, because the UN said that before the war there were 500 trucks going into Gaza and around 150.
So, Christian, I'm talking about food now. We're not sending in cement anymore.
Anyway, I don't want to argue about the numbers of trucks. I'm not asking you about trucks. I'm talking about the fact
to build a terror network. Concrete has been used to build.
We're not talking about that either right now. We're talking about
because you talked, Christian, about the aid trucks. We're saying that we're talking about food. There were 70 before the war. Today there were 240.
Well, again, I must say the 70 before the war is a disputed number.
Those are the facts, Christian.
Well, it's not a fact. It's a disputed. It's a claim, and it's disputed. And there are contradictory. There are contradictory numbers.
I say is disputed.
Let's move on to the facts.
We are a democratic country with a free press and with checks and balances. And, at some point, you've got to take our side over a genocidal terrorist organization.
No, we don't take anyone's sides. We're journalists asking questions.
Screw the evidence. The evidence is irrelevant. You should take our side because we're a democracy. Right?
What is a proportionate response? Does Israel have the right to defend itself? Do you condemn Hamas? Does Israel have the right to exist? October 7th, decapitated babies. Women were raped. Babies were put in the oven. They are killing babies. October 7th. Why don't the Arab take in the Palestinians? Where is the outrage when Muslims kill other Muslims? Why don't you talk about Syria, Libya, Sudan, Yemen? October 7th, you are anti-Semitic. You are a Jew hater. You are a terrorist sympathizer. Do you condemn Hamas? October 7th. We will talk about everything except the killing that is happening every day as we sit here discussing bullshit talking points. This style of distraction is inspired by a very old debating trick called gish galloping. Gish galloping is a way where one side throws distraction, lies, and half-truth at you in order to confuse you, distract you away from the real issue.
What's clear now, as a result of Monday night's attack, desperately needed aid will shrink even further. As Guru Murphy said, aid ships have been turned around after the killing of international aid workers, and the second largest humanitarian agency in Gaza, ANERA, has now ceased its operations entirely. Later in the interview, Christian Guru Murphy went on to ask Mensa about the other 196 aid workers killed by Israel. As you can guess, the Israeli spokesperson tried to smear them all, and Mensa also said Israel were trying to de-radicalize Gaza, presumably by killing everyone.
The Israeli daily newspaper that have a lot of sources inside the Israeli government from April 2nd, which is today, the IDF drone bombed the world's central kitchen aid convoy 3 times, targeting an armed Hamas member who wasn't there. So that's the Israeli excuse, that they knew they were bombing a convoy of aid workers from the world's central kitchen, which the Israelis say are free to operate in Gaza, are welcomed in Gaza. They knew they were bombing that convoy. They're not pretending they thought this was a Hamas convoy. But their argument was, well, the reason we did it is because we thought, mistakenly as it turns out, that among the 7 workers was a single armed militant from Hamas, and therefore we decided to kill them all 7 of them, just to kill this one armed Hamas operative, who wasn't there. But even if he were, how would that be justification for extinguishing the lives of 7 international aid workers in Gaza with the Israeli permission to feed the starving civilians there? Quote, the strike on the aid convoy, which traveled along a route approved by the Israeli army, killed 7 workers of the world's central kitchen, but the target, an armed man thought to be a terrorist, never left the warehouse with the cars. And again, this is according to the IDF. They're admitting that the cars were clearly marked as belonging to this organization. They knew this was a convoy traveling on a route that the IDF had approved. When they hit the first car of the World Health Kitchen, the drivers in the car, the people in the car, the volunteers, called the Israeli military, their contacts in the IDF, and said, that missile just attacked our convoy. And despite that, when they moved to the second car, the IDF then targeted that second car and struck it, killing some of the people. The ones who were wounded tried to scramble into the third car to get into safety, and once they got there, The IDF then targeted a third car and killed them all. 3 of the people killed were British nationals. 1 was an American citizen.
Israel has been using an AI system called Lavender that marked at least 37,000 Palestinians as suspected terrorists,
and to compile part of its kill list during its ongoing military offensive in Palestine's Gaza. According to an investigative report by the Plus 972 magazine and Local Call, testimonies by Israeli military officials revealed how Lavender was used to assassinate individuals in Gaza with almost no human oversight to verify the targets identified by the AI. Developed by the Israeli military's Elite Intelligence Division Unit 8200, the AI system analyzes data obtained through the mass surveillance of most of Gaza's 2.3 million residents to identify potential targets. The system ranks every individual in Gaza on a scale of 1 to 100 according to the probability that they are involved with the military wing of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Some of the targets mistakenly flagged by the system included relatives of Hamas operatives, those with social media connections to Hamas members, and even people who happen to have the same names as Hamas operatives.
despite the Israeli military's assessment that some of the individuals identified by the AI may not be affiliated with the Palestinian resistance groups.
The kill list was seen as definitive. The only check made by humans was to verify that the target was male. According to the report, the system has played a key role in Israel's massive bombardment of Palestinian territory, especially during the early stages of Tel Aviv's offensive. The report reveals that it was during those initial weeks that an Israeli military command allowed the killing of up to 20 civilians whenever the system identified what it assessed to be a junior Hamas member. In the case of senior Hamas operatives, the army authorized the killing of over 100 civilians while assassinating just one target. In other cases, if the potential target gave their phone to a male relative, that person would then become the target and would be bombed along with his whole family. Additionally, a home tracking system called Where's Daddy was used to boost targets when the number of assassinations was waning, and was specifically used to carry out bombings when the targets had entered their family homes. Low-ranking Israeli officers were the ones making decisions about who lives and dies, according to the report. In addition to Lavender and Where's Daddy, it was revealed that the Israeli military had been employing another AI system in its war on Gaza using the Gospel to identify buildings where suspects were operating before bombing them. According to the report, the staggering death toll in Gaza is a result of Israel's weaponization of these AI programs, which experts say gives Tel Aviv a free hand to commit genocidal acts with impunity.